Hey, what's up, peeps? Welcome to MasterWire. I got a request from Gaurav-U1R9E asking me to make a high score system. So I'll go ahead and show you how it's done. Get this knocked out really quick. As you can see, I've got a score system here where it's updating the score and the high score at the same time. But let's say you quit out and go back in. You'll see that the high score is still updated with your recent high score, and it'll only update if your current score goes over the high score amount, as you can see. Now, this is persistent. It works even if I completely shut down my computer and turn it back on. It'll still be there. And if you want to reset the high score, you can do so by just clicking on this button here, and it resets. So, all right, let me go ahead and show you how it's done. First things first, we're going to need to make a new project. I'll just use a third-person project to make this easier. You can, of course, use whatever you want, just as long as it has something that can pick up points with. And let's just call this high score system. Perfect. So we have ourselves a project with a third-person character to move around in. We'll need some blueprint actors. Well, just one blueprint actor. Let's make the points first. So what I'm going to do is right-click, go to blueprint class, and choose an actor. Let's just call this BP points. And go ahead and open up BP points, and let's just make this really quick. So we don't really need the scene root. We can actually replace that. Let's open up a skeletal mesh, or static mesh, I mean. This is going to be a sphere, or any other shape that you want. I'm just going to use an editor sphere. It's a bit big, but it's okay. Compile, save. We're also going to add a collision. Let's use a sphere collision. We'll just leave it named sphere. Select the sphere first, actually, for the collision, and just scale this up a bit so it's bigger than the actual point itself. And then select the static mesh, and let's just scale this down a bit. And we still have the grid on, so we might want to turn this grid down to like 0.1. That way we can make it a bit smaller. Compile and save. Now I just want to see how big this is in world, just to make sure it's fine. That looks okay. Doesn't have to be too fancy. We can maybe add a material to it really quick if we want. If you want to do that, just go to material, M underscore points. And I'm just going to hold the 3 key and then left click. Hold the 3 key and left click. And put this into the emissive color. Let's make this something like red. And then select this node here so that we can see the details on the left. And change the default lit to unlit. Apply, save, exit out of that. We don't need it anymore. Inside of BP points once more, we can select the static mesh, go to our materials over here on the right, look for our points material, M underscore points, compile, save. That's good. We have this event actor begin overlap node already inside of our blueprint. So we're going to use this. What we want to do is get overlapping actors. We're going to check to make sure that the overlapping actor is a BP third-person character. We could even make sure it's a BP third-person game mode if we want, but third-person character should work just fine, or whatever your character is called. Out of the overlapping actor, let's get a copy. And we're going to check if valid. So just type in valid. You'll see is valid. Get this one. We're going to get a branch out of this. Search for branch. And use the execute pin out of the actor begin overlap and put it into the branch. If it's true, all we need to do is destroy the actor for now. Let's make sure this works. Looks like it works. So all that happens is once we enter this outer sphere here, it'll delete the point. This is the basic logic that we'll use to add and subtract them as well. Or just add, honestly. No subtracting for now. All right, now that we have the basic function working, let's create the score function. We can put that in our game mode. So if you have UE5 5.6 or 7, whatever the newest one is right now, you can go into your content and open up the third person folder, open up blueprints, and you'll see a third person game mode here, or we can make our own game mode, but I'm just going to use the one that they already have here. Open this up, and you won't see the event graph yet. What you'll need to do is, you see this up here, it says open full blueprint editor. Just go ahead and open that. Once we're inside of here, we'll just need to add a variable. So let's just click the plus over here. It's going to be an integer variable. We'll call it current score. Enter. Let's turn this into an integer over here. Let's create a new function in here. Let's name it add score. And give it an input. Let's call this input amount. And make this an integer as well. Compile and save. Let's drag current score into this same graph. Get current score. We also need a set current score. And what we'll do is add the current score to the amount. And that's going to give us our new set current score. And we can add this or connect this execute pin. Perfect. Now that we have that done, let's go to our BP points. Inside of our event begin overlap, before we destroy the actor now, we'll need some things out of the true value here. Get game mode, not dragging out from the true yet. Get game mode, and then we can cast to BP third person game mode. This is going to be the game mode that you're using that has your function in it for the add score and your current score. From the cast node, we can call our function add score. So now we have it inside of our points, which is good. We can get some information, or add some information to it, I mean. And let's set the amount. So this is how many points at a time you're going to be adding. You can just put 1 here, or 10, whatever you want to do. Then after we add the score, we can go ahead and destroy the actor, which we already had here. Now that we have that, what we should be able to see is what our current score is. So if we go back to our third person game mode and we get a print string, and we directly connect our current score to it. What should happen if we have multiple points is we should be able to see those update. So let's just test that out really quick and copy and paste. So I'm just doing Control C and then Control V on these points. Press play and let's just see. So we got 10 points, 20 points, 30, and so on. So that's a simple way to go ahead and get this started here. But we're going to need some UI things. We're going to need to be able to save the game and everything as well. This is just basic functionality. Perfect. So step 1 is complete. Now, step 2. Let's go ahead and create the score UI. This is going to display the player's current score and the high score later on. It's going to be on the screen while playing, and we'll make a widget blueprint and hook it into your game mode. Go back to your content browser. Let's right click and search for widget. You'll see a widget blueprint here. For that option, go ahead and click that. Click on user widget, and we can call this WBP underscore score UI. Let's go ahead and open it up. And I like to put down a canvas first just to keep things neat. So search for canvas up here in the top left and drag that into your scene, into your graph, I mean. After that, let's get a text box here, or just text alone. Drag that in. Let's set the default text content. So if you don't see that, you want to do this little drop down arrow here under content on the right. You'll see text block. Let's just replace that text with score and 0. Perfect. Of course, we won't see this in World yet. We don't have it being put on the screen, but we're just going to work around in here just for a little bit. And what I'll do too is go ahead and increase the font size just for readability. Let's just move this up to 48. You don't have to do that. It's whatever your style is, you know. And let's create a binding for the text. So when you have the text selected here on the right next to where you just inputted the text content, you'll see a little like paperclip almost looking thing here. So you want to click on that, and it's going to say create binding right underneath it. Click on that as well, and it'll take you right to the graph. This is sort of like a function. Let's go ahead and move this out a little bit. Inside of here, we want to get the game mode. Get game mode. Cast to BP third person game mode again. Use the execute pin. From this cast output, let's get the current score. Get current score. Now this current score, remember, is the one that we made here inside of our third person game mode as a variable. So we'll get that current score and then set this as our return node. So you can just drag it directly into it. I'll show you what that looks like in play as well. Actually, we don't have it. we don't have it displaying yet. So what we'll need to do is inside of our game mode, we need a event begin play. And out of the event begin play, let's create widget. And out of the return value, add to viewport. The class that we want to select for this create widget is going to be our WBP score UI. And this should add it to our screen. So let's go in the play again, and you'll see 0. But as I collect points, it'll go up. I just realized that there's a little bit of a problem with these points. It's because they are physical. So one quick little fix that we want to do for BP points is select the static mesh, and let's just search collision on the right here. you'll see it says block all dynamic. Just click on that drop down box and switch that over to no collision and you'll be fine. Compile and save. And okay, the first part of this works perfectly. But it doesn't save the points, obviously. It just goes back to 0 anytime you quit the screen. And we don't have our appended UI. So what we want to do here under this string is turn this into a string first of all. So let's just type in string. And we'll see a toString integer. You can even search for that as well. And it'll give you like a pink value here, like a dark pink value. And pull out from there and search for append. You can't do this with text, only with strings, I believe. So we want this to be in the second value, in the B value. And then in the A value, type in score. Plug that into our return node. And you'll see it has a better look. So we have score here, and then it can still add points to it. Good stuff. Perfect. So that's step 2. We're done with 2 steps. We're almost there. Now it's time for the high score part of this system, saving and loading the system. To do that, we need a save game blueprint. So go back inside of your content browser and right click. We want to add a blueprint class. You'll see a little drop down arrow here that says all classes. Go ahead and drop that down and search for save game. You'll see a save game blueprint class here. Just click on that. Select. Let's call this BP underscore high score save. Let's open it up. Inside of here, let's add a couple of variables. Let's add one called high score. Let's make this a integer. And optional, we'll just add one called player name. This is going to be for later. We'll make that a string. All right, and that's all we need to do in this. That's all we need to do inside of here for right now. Let's open back up our BP game mode. It's going to be the third-person game mode, remember? And we need some new variables. So add another one. Let's call this one saved high score. Saved with a D. Let's add another one called save slot name. This should be a string. The default value for this save slot name, just go ahead and click on it, and on the right set the default value to high score slot. We're going to use this to identify the slot that's on the disk to save to. All right, now we're going to create our load and save functions. So we'll have 2 custom functions inside of the BP game mode. This first one's gonna be called load high score. Technically the second function that's in here. Compile and save. All right, inside of our load high score function, what we want is a does save game exist node. Let's go ahead and plug that into the execute. The slot name is going to be our save slot name here. Let's go ahead and get this and plug it in. Let's get a branch out of this return value here. And we'll work on the true first. So if true, we want to load game from slot. And we can reuse the same save slot name. Let's just go ahead and copy and paste that again. Use that. Now out of this return node here, let's cast to BP high score save. That'll give us a cast node here. Out of this, we can get high score and set our saved high score. Let's drag it from the left here. Set. And plug the execute pin into this. Now, if false, we want to create save game. Create save game object, I mean. The save game class is going to be our BP high score save, of course. Out of this return value, we can save game to slot. Let's use our save slot name for the slot name. Get the save slot name and just put it in there. And set the saved high score. Let's go ahead and grab this set node again to 0. Compile, save. So what we did here is when this runs, your game mode will know the current saved high score. So that's function 1 complete. And now we need function 2. That's going to be, or function 3, I mean. I already have this add score. I keep forgetting. So we have the add score, we have the load high score, and now the last function in here is going to be save high score. Don't get it confused with saved high score with a D. Just save. Inside of this node, let's create save game. Create save game object. We'll choose our BP high score again. Let's cast to BP high score save and set. Let's drag out from the high score, I mean, and set high score. That's going to be our saved high score. Let's go ahead and grab that. Get saved high score and plug that into the high score. After that, save game to slot. Get this as BP high score save node here and connect it into your save game object. The slot name is going to be our saved slot name. Let's go ahead and get that, plug it in. And what this does is it writes the data to the disk that we select. So it's there whenever you start your next session, if you quit and go back in. Compile, save. Turns out we actually don't need this node here. It gives us a note. It says it's already BP high score save. You don't really need this. So if you want, just go ahead and delete that and get this return value here. That makes sense because we already found our BP high score. That's fine. Compile and save. Let's go ahead and hook this into the game flow so we can start seeing this work. So on begin play, inside of our BP game mode here, let's go to our event graph, load high score. Let's just call our function load high score. Inside of our BP third person game mode, connect the execute pin. Let's make sure that this is first before our add to viewport and everything. After we do that, let's open our add score function here. Inside of here, we want to check if our current score, so get the current score, check if this is greater than our saved high score. So current score greater than our saved high score. Get ourselves a branch, connect the execute pin into this. So if this is true, what we'll do is set the saved high score. So let's get the saved high score again. Set saved high score is going to be equal to our current score. After we do that, we want to call our save high score function, save high score without the D, remember? And that just makes sure it saves it after we actually do this function. So the moment we beat the old record, it's going to be saved forever unless we decide to reset it somehow. Perfect. Now let's go back to our widget blueprint, our WBP underscore score UI. Inside of here, we need to go back in the designer. So over at the top right, click on designer up here. And what we can do is get ourselves a box. I think I want to do a stack box. Let's increase the size a bit. And we can grab this score and just put it inside of the box by dragging it and dropping it after hovering over the stack box there. We can rename this as well if we want to. So the stack box, make sure that that's selected. You'll see over here, orientation on the right is set to horizontal by default. You want to set that to vertical. Make sure this is in the top left. Let's Control C on this text box here. Control C and then Control V to paste it. That gives us another box right below it. We can name this one high score. The default text for it is also going to be high score. And we want to create a binding for this text, just like we did for the regular score. So over here next to your text, you'll see this little icon. Click on that. Create binding. It's going to be largely the same as our first one, so we can go back to our first one here. Honestly, might want to rename this score. Cool. So what we'll need is pretty much all of this. So just this part here, go into our get high score, paste this, connect it into the return node, and then the code before it is going to be a bit different. Also, this is going to be high score instead for the append. What we'll want to do inside of here is get game mode once again. Same thing as the other one, honestly. Cast to BP third person game mode. Connect that. But we want to get our saved high score. So get saved high score. Connect that. Perfect. Compile and save. Now let's just test it out. Let's go inside of our third person player here. Get some points, leave by pressing escape, and go back in, and we still should have, we still have our high score there. It says 30. Get some more points. Continues to increase, and it stays. So that's good. All right, so that's how you basically make your high score system. No fluff. Is as clean as possible, very modular system. And I'll show you just quickly how to do a little bit of add-ons just in case you want to troubleshoot a little bit or, you know, mess around with it. You'll probably want a way to reset the high score. So let's add a reset button. Inside of our widget blueprint score UI, let's go back inside of our designer again. Let's search for a button, drag and drop it into our stack box here. And let's search for text. Drag and drop this into our button. Let's change the text and call it a reset high score. Click on the button, and you can change the background color over here under the appearance. Let's just change this to red. Okay. Compile and save. Perfect. All right, let's scroll all the way down on the right while having this button selected, not the text. And you'll find on clicked in the events. You just want to add or click on the plus button there. Now you have a on clicked button 0. It'll just have the name of the button, whatever you named it. Once you have that, go ahead and open your game mode again. Well, let's compile and save this first. Open up the game mode. Let's create a new function. Let's call it reset high score. So inside of here, we want to set our saved high score to 0. Drag out from here. Create save game object. We'll choose our BP high score save again. Drag out from the return value, set high score to 0. After we do that, we want to save game to slot. We can use the same return value once again. I'm just going to make a little node here. all I do is double click on the actual wire, and it allows me to make that node, just in case you want to know. And the slot name, of course, is going to be our save slot name. Get save slot name. Plug that into there. Now we can call this from our widget blueprint. So go back to the widget blueprint UI. We want to get game mode cast to BP underscore third person game mode. Plug that into the on clicked using the execute pin, and simply call our reset high score. So type in reset high score and it'll automatically plug that in for you. Compile and save. Let's test that out. So we see our high score is still at 50. Click on the reset high score and you can reset it. Perfect. So if you want to do that, you just click on simulate, reset high score, or if you press play and don't click on the actual player yet, you can click on the UI elements without actually starting the game. Nice. All right. Last thing, just a little extra that you can do. Before we destroy the actor, let's say you might want a little bit of pizzazz, you know what I mean? If you want to call it that. So let's drag out from the add score. This is on our BP points, our actor here. And we can do play sound 2D. Let's pick a sound. I'm going to pick this click on button here. And what that does, of course, is just plays a sound every time you pick up one of these point elements. But to be a little bit more fancy, what we can do is increase the pitch every time we pick up one of the points. So to do that, BP game mode, let's just get our current score. Let's change this into a float to float. There it is. To float from an integer. And since this is going up by 10 each time, let's divide this. Divide it by 100 and add it to 0.3, because I believe 0.3 is the lowest pitch that this sound will go. And plug that into the pitch. Compile and save. We might want to sound whenever we reset the high score, so we can do that too. We can just do the same thing. Play sound 2D. Pick a new sound for this. Let's do compile failed. Maybe. That sounds fine. Pitch, up that to 2. Compile and save. Let's make sure all this works. So we can reset the high score. We can pick up new points. We can exit the game, come back in, and our high score is saved. And our high score updates if we have more points than our previous high score. Perfect. All right, that's the end of the tutorial. Hope you liked it. If you have any more suggestions, please let me know. I'll be happy to help out. I hope everything worked out well with this tutorial for you and you were able to get everything working just fine. If not, please go ahead and leave a comment below. I'll help you out. But all right, thanks for hanging out. See you in the next one. Peace.